You've probably heard the advice a million times. Be a creator, not just a consumer. But what does that actually mean? Well, today we're going to dig into that and explore a much bigger way of looking at what it means to create. And this is all inspired by a fantastic article from Clemens over at Life in Lists of 30.
So this is the big idea, the one that got this whole thing started. It's so simple, right? But it's powerful. Finding that balance between just taking things in and actually putting something out into the world, that can seriously drive your sense of purpose. It's an amazing goal to shoot for. And that, right there, that's the million-dollar question. Because when you hear create, your mind probably jumps to painting or writing a book or something artistic. But what if that's just scratching the surface? What if we're all creating, constantly, in ways we don't even give ourselves credit for? Let's find out.
Okay, so let's ease into this. Part 1 is all about the stuff we know, the things that are easy to point to. We're talking about the creations we can actually see and touch, the physical stuff.
Yeah, this is the classic list, isn't it? Whipping up a great meal, putting together a photo album, even writing up a research paper for work. Or maybe you're filling up a journal with sketches, or you're the type to tinker and cobble together some weird little invention. This is kind of the baseline for creation, the stuff most of us can look at and say, yeah, I've done that.
All right, now we're going to make our first big jump. This is where the definition of creation really starts to expand. We're moving beyond the physical world and turning inward. We're talking about the very act of building the architecture of, well, of you.
And check this out. This is such a brilliant way to see the connection. The same energy it takes to write a strategy for work, you can use that to create and tweak your own personal rules for living. Building a new habit is absolutely an act of design, just like designing a chair. And curating a photo album is all about telling a story, which is exactly what you're doing when you consciously create a vibe or a specific self-image.
And here's a perfect, kind of funny example to bring this idea down to earth. The author talks about designing a proud self-image through his own fashion journey. He calls it a Benjamin Button evolution, starting with crypto t-shirts, moving on to Hawaiian shirts, and then, hilariously, ending up right back where he started with the band t-shirts of his high school days. It's a great little story about consciously crafting your own identity.
So we've gone from making things out there in the world to literally making ourselves. But we don't live on an island, right? So the next step is to look at what we create between people. We're talking about the interpersonal stuff, the things that don't exist in an object or just inside our own heads, but in that shared space with others.
Just take a second and really look at this list. Making someone feel safe or truly seen, creating laughter, building a peaceful home. These are such profound acts of creation. Fostering a workplace where people actually feel connected. These things might be invisible, you can't put them on a shelf, but man, their impact is absolutely massive.
And this brings us to a really powerful idea. We can actually design the systems that hold our relationships together. One of the coolest concepts in the whole article is creating a blueprint for how you handle conflict. It's about deciding ahead of time how you're going to navigate disagreements, so you can argue constructively without tearing each other down.
Now, the article doesn't lay out the exact steps, but you can imagine what that creative process looks like, right? You'd start by figuring out your shared values, then you'd set some ground rules for when things get heated, you'd have to commit to being honest, and, maybe most importantly, commit to actually resolving the issue, not just winning the fight. It's all about designing a stronger bond. A really simple way to start this is to just ask your partner or a friend, hey, have we ever actually talked about how we fight? Just starting that conversation, that is the first act of creation.
Okay, time for the final, and maybe the biggest, expansion of what it means to be a maker. Now we're talking about the things that last, the creations that stretch into the future, the things that just might outlive us. And this arc really shows how that legacy can evolve. It might start with something like mentorship, guiding someone else in their career. Then it can be raising a family, hoping to nurture a kid who makes the world a little bit better. It's also about intentionally creating those amazing, lasting memories with the people you love. And then, well, then it gets a little sci-fi.
This is where the author's thinking gets really wild, and I love it. He actually talks about training a personal AI to be his digital successor. He even gives it a name, Clembot. Imagine a digital version of yourself that could stick around to offer advice or help manage things after you're gone. It's a pretty mind-bending look at how technology could totally change what legacy even means. So when you pull it all together, from cooking a meal to building a friendship to creating a digital ghost, the real takeaway is this. Creation isn't just about the thing you make. It's not about the output. It's about the impact that thing has. The impact on yourself, on the people around you, and on the future.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought. After going through all of this, it seems pretty clear that every single one of us is a maker. We're creating things all day, every day. So the only real question is the one right here on the screen. Seriously, take a second. What are you creating today? Thanks for tuning in.